session with you and that you took time to really listen in here today. I hope sincerely that you have some great takeaways and some enlightenments showing you here today. Just gonna wait until 10:02, which is seconds away, to have the Zoom coming. Thereafter, we will hit the scene. I hope that everyone can hear me as well. If not, just write in the comment field. Marvelous. I lost the times up. So let's get started. Very warm welcome to this webinar where we're going to touch the subject, the new buying journey for the SaaS industry. This is the topic that is really affecting all of us, and it's time to just go into it and see, okay, what is actually happening and what are the effects and how can we cope with the situation. But before I go into the details and the agenda and so on, I would like to begin with presenting myself and my co-host today, Josef. My name is Nicholas Zavala. I'm the co-founder of BusinessWith. We started the business in 2019, so obviously working towards the buying journey is something that I've been doing on a daily basis, and it's very interesting to share this insights in this webinar today. I'm more taking this angle from a position strategy, differentiation strategy, how a SaaS suppliers can cope with the situation, how it could affect your ROI, how it could affect sales, more from that perspective. Meanwhile, to my co-host is the data and SEO expert, Joseph. So please, could you introduce yourself?
Of course. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here, and I'm glad you're here as well. My name is Joseph. I've been in the SEO space for a bit over 10 years and obviously focused a lot on AI in the last few years. And I've been with SEO for almost exactly a year. Yeah, and I'm happy to be here, both at BusinessWith and here today with you guys at this webinar. Hope you enjoy yourself.
So, introduction completed. Now we go into before we go into agenda, the Q&A functionality. We don't want to miss out on that. On the right button symbol on this Google Meet, you will see a symbol here. You will be able to click on that, so the sidebar will pop up and you can have your Q&A. Where you will be able to write your question during this webinar. Please do so. We will take time to answer so many questions that we will have time for. If we're not able, then we will send the question to you in an email. However, we won't be able to answer question under the presentation, but we will have a section at the end. And we already have some questions sent beforehand, so we will try to cope with them as well. Okay, let's get started. So the agenda for today, the first point that we will go into to address is what is happening in the buying journey. We will do that from the high level perspective. Some of the information, some of you who was in the webinar with Joseph on the last webinar he had, it might be repetitive in some sense, but a lot of new things there as well. Thereafter, we will enter the effects of these changes that is going on in the buying journey. We will then enter, okay, what are the secret ingredients here? And how do we attack that? And how can BusinessWith help you to increase the LLM visibility, but also what can you do yourself to get the most effects? And thereafter, we will have a summary and takeaway and start the Q&A question. That is the agenda here for today. So let's dive into it. First off, what is happening, or what I used to say, what the hell is happening in the buying journey right now? From a very high level perspective, these typical digital sources, you have seen these slides maybe from me or customer success in your meeting, but it's good to bring that up again. Google Ads, SEO, marketplaces, your own website, and so on are the core digital sources that have huge impact on the SaaS buyer today. And that is still the case. Don't think that that is obsolete or not valuable. It surely is. The only difference is that we have new sheriffs that's entered the town, and that obviously been something obvious for all of us. However, LLM entering this space is that it has created a new additional channel for the SaaS buyer to get more influenced by trust, recommendation, or accessing information like never ever before. It's a new additional channel that they are entitled to. And also Google, who has been the main market channel for many SaaS companies globally, is also a big disruptor in this buying journey and has changed the method on how to display content and information to the SaaS buyer. So the SaaS buyer today has multiple more sources and also new way to get educated on. This is not a small thing here, and this is here to stay. But let's dive into one of the biggest of them all, and that is Google itself. Google as a disruptor in the buying journey. And in order to explain this so thoroughly and more comprehensive as possible is Joseph. So I will get Joseph to get started here.
Yeah, thank you, Nicholas. Yeah, Google as a disruptor. The reason we're calling it that or saying it like that is that, I mean, ChatGPT and LLMs might have started this AI race, but since that happened, Google has actually done more themselves to disrupt the traditional buying journey for not just SaaS, but the entirety of search. And I'll explore that a little bit here right now. So if we go to the next slide. So obviously the big thing is AI overviews, the AI generated response that's on top, right at top of the search results, where we used to be, and now Google has claimed that space for themselves. That is a huge disruption to traditional search. And the way this has played out is created what we in the search industry have come to call the crocodile effect, where because you might be part of the AI generated response, you get more eyeballs and more impressions on your website, meaning the impressions go up. But at the same time, Google actually answers the searcher's query and what they want, meaning they don't need to click through. The clicks therefore go down, creating this crocodile effect, as you can see on the report here. So what this means is that the clicks themselves have become more rare and therefore also more valuable. So we can go to the next slide. So some are calling this the end of top funnel content. I don't know if I'd go that far, but there are a few things I would agree with. So first thing is that what used to be the bread and butter for traditional SEO, creating a what is X article, you know, like what is CRM or what is LMS or stuff like that. That used to be a no-brainer activity for anybody who tried to be present in the search space. I'm not sure they're as relevant anymore. They might still be like, if you're happy just getting the impression and not getting the clicks as much, that still might be a worthwhile effort for you. But in terms of generating clicks and traffic, I wouldn't count on that as something that will deliver the same amount of value that it has historically. And by historically, I mean 2 and 3 years ago. Instead, what's becoming more worthwhile is focusing on contributing new information and original data, doing your own studies, creating your own reports, conducting your own analysis, and focusing on reviews, what people are saying about you. And reviews is something we will come back to in this presentation a bit more. But in general, what this leads to is that in the future, I think we as marketers will likely look back at 2024 as a peak traffic year, meaning a golden era that will probably not come back again. And this is just a reality we're going to have to learn to live with, I'm afraid. I can go to the next slide. So to summarize, Google still dominates even as clicks decline. And the reason we're saying that is that if we look at studies conducted in how AI is changing the search landscape, and there's been a lot around that, basically because a lot of the AI bros are telling us SEO is dead, and there isn't much data to support that. What the study actually shows is that if we look at AI in terms of search, not like write this article for me, but rather the cases where you use AI like you would use a search engine, those cases, AI search has grown by 40% in the last 2-3 years, which is obviously a big deal. I mean, AI search has definitely entered the space. But at the same time, SEO or traditional search has not gone down in that same time period. It stayed the same, declined by less than 1% during that same time period. Is basically untouched by AI. Still, like we said, Google is the disruptor now. They're the ones driving the changes to the search journey. So clicks are going down because of AI overviews, up to 60% in some cases. So again, clicks are becoming more rare and therefore more valuable. Still, despite this, Google sends 190 times more traffic than ChatGPT. ChatGPT has some search volume, definitely, but in terms of traffic and acquisition and generating users to your platform, Google is definitely dominating with that volume level. So AI is obviously still interesting, but Google is the main marketing channel. So Google is the marketing channel, and AI I like to think about as an influencing channel, starting before the search actually happens. And there's a cool effect here that I only came across like a month ago, where we compare what's happening now to what happened in the 2010s, where you used to talk about the dark social. So you had obviously social activities on social media that you can measure, people posting stuff, but then you had the other side of social that happened in individual chats that couldn't be measured and couldn't be tracked, called the dark social. That happened one-to-one on a one-to-one or in chat groups between users. And now we're basically seeing the same thing. Rather than dark social, we're seeing the dark search, where users are speaking individually to chatbots and AI agents, and getting an opinion and being influenced by AI even before the search actually happens. And we've actually tried to measure this effect and how that affects the search demand and what the data tells us here. And I did an analysis around this 8 months ago or something. And what I found is I looked at multiple different industries, like banking, some SaaS, of course, some e-commerce, and wanted to see, okay, where in the buyer's journey is AI siphoning off users. And it was clear that in the awareness and decision phase, not much has changed in the last few years. It's even increased a little bit. But when it came to consideration, that has dropped like a rock from heaven. And this, I mean, it's correlation, not causation. We can't be 100% sure that this is because of AI overviews, but given the timing around 2024, I think it's a very good educated guess that this is because of AI or LLMs. If you want the full analysis, it's on LinkedIn. I'll also do an updated version of this that we can see how this trend has continued into 2026. So keep a lookout for that. But this is where dark search has affected SEO. And this is one of the reasons we're very proud, or I should say I'm very proud of what we've achieved on BusinessWith. If clicks have decreased by 60% compared to 2024, you see 2024 at the left-hand side of the graph here, and we're basically at the same level today. I think that for me is a huge win, especially when we see other competitors decreasing during the same period. And that trend is something we see on all our Nordic markets, actually. So yeah, forgive me for bragging a little bit, but I think this shows in some sense that we have some idea what we're talking about here. And we want to share that with you and help you navigate through these effects we're seeing in the new buying journey. So I'll hand it over to you, Nicholas, and talk more about the effects we're seeing.
Thank you. So basically, Google as a disruptor affecting, you have LLM as a huge influencing before the search, you have the buyer, etc., that's access to information, so on. So what are the effects here? Obviously, the effects are many. But if I'm taking from a high-level perspective, it starts from the buyer perspective. Let's do that. From the buyer perspective, they are now able to be influenced by trust in multiple ways, right? They can do it from reviews, they can ask more questions, they can structure the questions on queries and prompts and so on. So they can be influenced by trust in more than one way, right? And also, the accessibility to information is endless for them now, which will probably help them to reduce the risk for mispurchase or negotiating differently, and so on. So the accessibility to information and also how they can digest it is different today than just 1.5 years ago. 3, buyers, as we now discussed, buyers don't need to click around to 10 websites to investigate everything, understand everything about you. They can get this from other type of means, right? And that means that clicks are much, much more rare and a scarce resources now moving forward. And also, fourthly, is that buyers, you might discover that they ghost you a bit sometimes. They might not have the same urgency to schedule this meeting with you, or maybe they're not writing so many forms on your website to get contact and so on. That means because they are now more educated and does have maybe not the same urgency. There are more effects from the buyer perspective, but this is typical reality we see here. So what effect does that have on the SaaS supplier sales department? I mean, we need to be kind to sales here, because lead to deal, we sent 1 year ago, we sent you a report, insight report describing a trend here. And that was, we see longer sales cycle. We see the buying journey takes longer time to get ink on the contract. And that was articulated in 2025. That was a trend. I have to say that I see good signs now in 26. We will send more insight report in Q2 about this. So 2026 shows very good signs. However, back to the 24 area, no, I don't think that is what we're going to achieve. The longest sales cycle is probably the new normal. Lead treatment, that I will have a webinar just to discuss lead treatment, and I will present that at the end of this webinar, because treatment of leads, again, look about access to more information, don't need to click around, get information influenced differently from multiple sources, etc. Of course, lead treatment need to follow. And that is something sales department needs to cope with. And also pipeline conversion. If you had a lot of warm buying ready leads in 24, 23, you got excellent incomings and it just flourished, that, and you look and measure sales compared to other KPIs at that time period, public pipeline conversion is not on the same level. That could be, I mean, not all of them has these effects, but that could be reality for many SaaS suppliers within sales. And also the effects on marketing. I mean, marketing struggling on budget. Everyone wants, I want leads, I want this, I want branding, I want all of these things. Okay, but give me budget. You get the same budget, but I will want to have higher results. Yeah, but reality is for marketers right now is that cost in ads increased heavily in 2024. And we pinpointed that in the first insight report this time last year. That is stopped. We don't see the same rise in effect on Google Ads or Meta Ads, etc. They have changed their algorithms, which is very good. However, going back to the cost per lead cost in ad spending, as it was in 23, 24, those days are gone. This is new normal. So it's cost increase in ads, time consuming also for marketing. We have an entirely new channels in LLMs here. How should that even start to affect them? It's very time-consuming activities we're talking about here. And also tracking. Maybe many of you use Google Analytics, and it was excellent, could track all of these. Things have changed. Google has changed the laws and regulation on tracking and measurement, which make it also very difficult for the marketers, right, in the SaaS industry, or in every industry, to be honest. So this might sound very harsh. That doesn't mean that the buyer is not there. The buyer absolutely not absent. On the contrary, 2026 shows very positive signs, which I'm very glad to state. However, let's take the Q1 entirely, and we will send more insight report on that. But 26 shows very positive signs. However, reality is a SaaS provider now much have engagement in a new additional information source, which is ChatGPT, Perplexity, and so on, to cover more key touch points in the buying journey. So sales, all the deals that you closed, great, you were excellent, but marketing has worked to get touch point in this buying journey. And now they need to cover even a further area. So stay tuned. Okay, so this might be effects, right? So basically, how can our SaaS supply strengthen its positioning in LLMs in Google, right? How can we do that? The first thing we must really realize is, where are we now in this situation? We are in an AI era. We all know that. But what it actually means right now, and I can't pinpoint this, I will do that many times in this year. It's an era where we need to make robots happy. What I mean by robots is that, let's take internet here. This is internet. Google has been having robots scraping websites and content, billions of it, and have done that for years. They're scraping data coming from Google. Now we have AI robots from LLMs, ChatGPT, scraping and using also internet. Internet is the mean they both use, but their robot and the Google robot scrape very similar, 95% similar, but they value this data and content differently, but mostly they display it differently. This, in lack of better words, it's a robot war out there. And what is the robot main purpose? That is to make their platform user happy. Google's robot want to make sure that you stay in Google more, and find your information there, because they scrape the data and display it so they make their platform users. It's the same purpose the robots have from Perplexity, from ChatGPT, or whatever. It's to make sure that their platform users is happy. So it's a robot war going on in this side. So in this side is, we need to consider how to make these robots happy. That is the fundamental key we need to do now. And to do so, we need to understand what are the secret ingredients. And the secret ingredients, the best way to describe that is Joseph.
Yes, sorry. Hi. Yeah, thank you. So my analogy, as you can see here, is data, and what the difference is between data and structured data. Because you can present things to the robot in different ways, and different ways of making the robot happy. What they want is basically to extract information that is relevant to their end users, just like Nicholas talked about. And the information thereafter is data. So you can present that in one of two ways. Where in the first one you have unstructured data, you like raw eggs, uncooked pasta, and stuff like that. Or you can take the same data, process it, and present it in a way that makes that robot happy, that makes it easier for that robot to present it in digestible way to their end users. And that is something we have focused on a lot at BusinessWith, making sure the robots have access to your to relevant data about your brand. So what that looks like in practice on BusinessWith, if we go to the next slide, is information around your ICPs. What do you do? How does the service work? What does the brand say? And structuring that way in the code that makes it easily accessible to the robots. And increasing the value of the third-party mentioning happening on BusinessWith as a platform for you guys, for our clients. And this is also enhanced through things like reward badges, where we get additional third-party mentioning and saying, giving you guys a chance, saying, "Hey, robots, look what the users think about us. Look how valuable we are."
Exactly. Just to pinpoint there, it's like a very good example are reviews. Reviews, if you look in the fundamental of review, is structured from the beginning to the end. That's why reviews are hugely valuable now, more than double. I would say more than double in 2026 than ever before. And the reason for that is that review is excellent. You answer questions, you have what is it, the answering it, the ratings, but also context is very important. Now they're looking for content freshness. So is it a verified person? Which company size? When was it made? From which industry? From which role? That is candy for the robots for the moment. So reviews is excellent perspective. Even the reward badge, we will discuss more about that. But that is a very important area right now, the structured data and the context. A good example, you had a good example there as well, right? In regards to review, right? Finding.
Yeah. I wanted to put something real behind our words, where we've talked about the importance of reviews for a while. But here are two different studies, one of them very, very thorough, the left one, that showed that having just 10% more reviews increased AI citations by 2%. A small but very reliable correlation, which is cool, obviously. And we have data confirming reviews plays a role in AI citation. But what was more interesting for me, and this is really an analysis I did myself just this week, where I looked at AI mentions among all our clients, or sorry, not all our clients. It was a smaller data set. And again, this is something we're looking to expand and give you more information on. But just as an early teaser around what you can expect from us going forward and how we measure these things, we looked at about 30 of our clients and looked at, okay, what's the difference between clients who have 5 or more reviews and those who have no reviews, and what's the difference in AI presence among some prompts we follow. And the finding was that having 5 or more reviews increases the likelihood of being cited by 30 to 40% compared to a profile that didn't have reviews. Now, this was a small data set. I'm not saying it's definitive. We're looking to follow up on this and make it more thorough. But as an early indication, I think it's very strongly suggests that reviews is something to be taken very seriously. It used to be all about social proof. Now it's a main driver for your brand's LLM visibility.
So in 2025, BusinessWith saw this sign, and we try to adapt to this and transform ourselves to the new buying journey. So what are we now aiming for to make sure that you can increase in the LLM visibility, right? First off, we want to amplify your data now. Amplify your data to make the robots happy. And to do that, we want to aim for better LLM visibility for you, as well as us. We want to be more optimized for SEO and Google AIO for you, and also to increase the visibility in the full funnel of the buying journey. You're often seen awareness, consideration stage, online visibility, how we capture certain stuff. Again, we want to amplify this data. That is what we're going to aim for in 26. And the result of that is to increase the probability for you to close more deals. Because regardless if you get a lead from BusinessWith or wherever the source is, these touch points are still valuable. It doesn't matter if you have 1 or 2 meetings, they will now digest information differently, as we talked about in the beginning. To amplify data, the best way we do with structured data and so on is to increase the probability for you to close more deals so you get a competitive advantage. Secondly, also to ensure that your brand is trusted and chosen by LLMs and win prompt-driven answers and earn more recommendation. So that is the aim right now. Okay, so how do we do that? We do that by acknowledge one thing. In this area, less is not more. I love that term, that less is more. But in this area, more is actually more. But it needs to be done properly. And how do we do that? We entered areas that we have discovered has increased in value for these robots for the buying journey now in 26. I won't go too deep into it, but you will see some sneak peeks. Reviews, we touched that. Secondly, third parts mentioning. Robots love how other talks about you. Now, it's the fact about reward badges, testimonials, and stuff like that. Okay, then we have answer engine optimization. Structure, question, and answering. How do we attack that and make sure that we can feed more information about that? Fourth, that has really risen, especially now, is pricing and business model insight for this robots. A lot of people, you've probably seen that on LinkedIn. Is the SaaS model dead? Should we have seat-based or which type of business model? Is it usage-based? AI tools have disrupted a lot of things, means that a lot of these platform users are asking these things. And again, what is the robot main purpose? It's to make them happy. So pricing and business model insight is now very, very valuable for LLM visibility. New feature. This is something that we didn't ask so much before because we didn't see it as a important area for the buying journey at that time period. But now it is. Like, do you have AI functionality, new product information signals, freshness, right? Integrations. That's an area we haven't touched so much. Now it's time to do that. Are your system integrated with Microsoft, Gmail, Zapier, whatever it could be, Fort Knox, whatever. Integration information, report and analysis, as Joseph described in the beginning. How can we display report and analysis for you if you have some? How can we help you amplify that? Content freshness. That is one of the key here, right? That is what we need to now to work with. And to do so, then we need to send these signals to the robot for the new additional sources that has happened here. That is our aim here to increase the LLM visibility. This is areas that we have identified that we need to do. So how do we do that? We have an action plan now that we will recommend you to discuss with your customer success during 2026. It might be a bit comprehensive, but let's have a plan together with your customer success to attack these areas now. First off, reviews. We talked about that, but now I need to be sorry to be tough in it, but now we're talking about fresh reviews, collecting reviews every 6 months. I know that some of you might have trouble with this. I know that some of you, but we already did it for Capterra and so on. I really urge you to think differently. That's a huge risk now. You can lose competitive advantages. You need to think about a review plan now. And in order to do so, we can help you we have donation set up. So you can collect reviews by adding some donation subsidized to a donation program for all the reviews you get, and also have a plan to do it in different type of phases. And also respond to the reviews. That also content freshness. The more you respond, the better content freshness. That's also candy for the robots. So reviews is an area. Secondly, data collection. What we have discovered here for the buying journey, we will probably ask now in April, next month or coming month, about more data from all our customers. We will ask about integration, price intervals, if you want to be part of that, newly launches, AI functionalities. So a big portion of data collection will now occur in order to amplify it. Thirdly, we will launch an AEO on all your profiles, FAQs. You will have a sneak peek soon, so you will understand. It will be structured question about you, your ICP, your industry, why do business with you, and so on. More of these type of things in structured way, so we can increase the visibility. Testimonials, that is already launched and available for you. Add testimonial, more is more now. Brag. If you have testimonials from customers on your website, put it on your profile of BusinessWith as well. Talk with your customer success on how you can do that. But again, think context now on how you structure that. That is something the customer success can help you with as well. 50, the reward badge. Now it's time to update it 2026. Why? Content freshness. Display it on your website and link, but also have context text. Why did you get it? From which platform did you get it? Could you be more thorough on better in the competition? In which type of category? All of this because it's context and structured. And 6, we will now launch programmatic SEO, meaning that we are launching now sub-categories to the main categories. So for instance, you will soon see CRM for Swedish, CRM for Norwegian, Norwegian language, CRM for small businesses, subcategories. It's for the SEO to gain more long-term traffic, but it's also sending richer structured data signals to AI robots. These are action plans that we will probably discuss with every single customer moving forward. In addition to the traditional things that we talk about banners, positioning, profiling, these are new things that we will now have to highlight for the new buying journey. So a sneak peek, you will probably see more of this, frequent question about you. We will have certain type of categories that is customized, so like typical prompts that we see in this category, how can we add them here so we can put some question Q&A. We will work with tools. We will show the buyer here and the robots. Do you integrate with Microsoft 365, Shopify, Zendesk, Zapier, and so on? That will be added to the profile. Testimonials, very important. Third part mentioning what customers say about you, not only reviews. Pricing and business model insight, pricing overview, are you price worthiness? Do you have comment about that, and so on? More about that, obviously, when we launch that in April, May, we will. Your customer success will discuss on how everything is set up and the value of it. You will see more of this, CRM for small businesses, CRM for whatever. You will see then ERP, HR, LMS, time reporting, all of the category we will try to aim for. And that will be a rollout plan during the entire year in every single market: Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland, UK, Netherlands, Spain, and Germany. Again, for SEO long tail, but also better data to robots. Sneak peek, okay, all of this effort, beautiful, great, you might ask, but how do we measure it? So I'm very glad here to inform you all that we will now very soon launch our own LLM tracking tool. So we have been developing the LLM tracking tool for quite some time now because we saw this trend. So BusinessWith has its own LLM tracking tool, and we're already tracking behind the scene. So that's why the data Joseph presented here, he's doing some tracking. So it's working behind the scene for some chosen customer. In the first version, you will see how LLMs talks about you in a positive way, neutral way, or negative way. You will see in performance on your LLM visibility over time. You will see the top cited pages from BusinessWith that is most valuable for you, how you rank against the competition, and also the visibility performance. So this is now something that we will measure moving forward. And that is information that you can extract and show internally or to the board or whatever, so you can see the performance. So more information about the LLM tracking will soon come, but we are already tracking behind the scene. So Joseph, what can they do themselves?
Yeah, thank you. Good question. So we obviously wanted to help you guys out a bit around what you can do outside of the BusinessWith platform. give our thoughts on some of the common areas that you hear about when it comes to LLM optimization. And so the two main drivers or websites that are very, very often in the top when you talk about LLM visibility is Wikipedia and Reddit. I think many of you have probably heard of that already. And I definitely agree. They can be hugely influential for LLM visibility, but they're also very, very high effort in different ways. For Wikipedia, you need to be a big enough brand with big enough media coverage for Wikipedia's moderators to allow you to even have a page. If you are a big enough brand, then kudos, go for it. It's nothing but good stuff if you manage to add a Wikipedia page. But if you don't have media coverage around your brand, it can be a big uphill battle. So it might be better to put your efforts elsewhere. When it comes to Reddit, it's a bit of a different platform. The impact can be very high, but the effort is correspondingly high too. It's and unlike Wikipedia, where it's more like either you're good enough and they allow you, or you're not good enough and they kick you out. Reddit can actually be there's actually some risk getting involved with Reddit because their users are famously, what should I say? They don't like corporate activities. They don't like brands trying to promote themselves. So you have to be really sneaky if you want to be successful on Reddit. So the way I view Reddit today is a high engagement marketing channel that you either go in full force or not at all, because it needs a lot of attention for it to work really well. Marketplaces like BusinessWith is obviously an easy way to get your data out there. We've been talking about that this entire webinar. And the effort is what you make it yourself. You can obviously go higher effort with reviews, and that will have a huge effect. But if you don't, you still make your data accessible to the robots. And then you have other channels where you have a bit more control. So one source that isn't talked about enough in terms of LLM visibility is YouTube. That is something that, for me, has become a bigger part of the radar in this last year, because ChatGPT and other LLMs have started to learn how to parse more than just text. They can now process audio, they can process video. And YouTube is a huge source, especially for Google. Google owns YouTube, as I'm sure you know. So you get content that is attributed to humans. A human has generated it, which is also something AI tend to enjoy. But it also comes with engagement data and engagement metrics, right? They can see how many people like this video compared to this video, how many people viewed this video compared to that video. Highly valuable context for data. So YouTube is actually a hugely influential platform. Again, it comes with the effort of actually putting something out there yourself, but it's a platform that's not to be underrated in this today's landscape. And then you can obviously talk about yourself on your own platform, and it is good to put your own content out there. If you want to be visible around an area, in a general rule in SEO, if you want to be visible around an area, you need to talk about that area. How you do that is a more tricky question, but it definitely is a good idea to have some form of content plan for yourself, even these days. The only thing about that is that what ChatGPT's or LLMs tend to prefer is obviously third-party mentions, meaning other people talking about you rather than you talking about yourself. Still, it doesn't hurt to put something out there, but it's a platform that might be worth investigating, or it's a platform that's worth investing in, but just be mindful of the returns on that investment. It can easily be over invested in. So it's a balancing act, as always. Those are kind of our thoughts on these platforms. Yeah,
So,
go ahead, Nicholas.
yeah, see, due to time, key takeaways from this, because we're reaching the end of this webinar. First off, Google is the biggest disruptor now with AIO, and resulting in less click to website. That's something we need to cope with and yes, accept. LLMs are very big influencer in the buying journey, especially before the search trend. And that has changed the search trend and impacting the buying journey. Secondly, the effects on sales and marketing, we discussed that longer lead to deal cycles, buyers are arriving more educated. However, it doesn't mean that the buyer is not there. Thirdly, structured data and the context of structured data are the fundamental key for the robots now. They love this structured data stuff, and your profile and the data we will ask about is to make this robot happy and surfaces you more, is to make them even more happier, to be honest. And fourthly, you can do a lot of things yourself, but again, as Joseph pinpointed, that you need to choose wisely. Either you go for the high effort and high reward, or you go for scalability. I think personally, YouTube is not to underestimate, because I think we will go more towards that area as well. So elevator pitch and stuff like that will be also something we will try to amplify. So there are different impact, but choose wisely. You definitely discuss with us if you have any thoughts on what to choose and how to act and so on. We'd love to discuss this stuff. And our next step after this webinar is to book a meeting with customer success to begin this action plan that we presented here today. And the goal that you understand now is to cope with the new buying journey. More is more. Understand that this is for making robots happy, and how can we do that in the best way? We have found a way we believe in, and we want to do more of that to make sure that you get a good ROI. In the meantime, we are tracking the development with the LLM tracking, and soon you will see the result as well. Cool. That was the end of the webinar. But before I go into the Q&A, I want to say to you that we are coming to the upcoming webinar where we will discuss more increase your lead to deal part. As I told you in the beginning, that we will have just a webinar just discussing on lead treatment. So we will provide you some tips and tricks on how to treat leads from BusinessWith in 2026, because that has also been affected. Cool. And I will do that at the end of April. So let's dive into Q&A.
Cool. So we have gotten a few questions that were sent in advance, and I'll start with them. If you guys want to send in questions, feel free to do so. I'll try to stick around as long as I can and answer questions. Nico, maybe you can scroll up to the slide showing how you ask questions, just as a friendly little reminder for everyone. And I'll start off with one or two of the questions that we don't open Slack, Nico. We can all see.
I see.
So for the first question from Natalia. How do you see websites' content changing? Would it be smarter to optimize for LLM crawls than for human eyes? Good question. A very common thing to ask these days, and it's something that every SEO base comes across at some point. And when it comes to optimizing for robots over users, it's something that definitely can work. Back in the dark ages of SEO, it was the famous like white text on white background trick, and that worked well for a little while until it didn't. At some point, Google started figuring out that, hey, this is not how we want websites to work. This is not the websites we want ranking, and the websites that tried those types of tricks all fell off the ledge as soon as Google caught on. So it can definitely work, 100% it can work, but it tends to have a point where it stops working, and you have to be prepared for that. What I try to do is to keep the long game in my mind and optimize for the end user and making sure that end user is happy, because if the end user is happy, then the robot is happy. And we want to make the robot happy. So that's my answer to that question. And we got a live question, so I'll go with that one. How can we best reach out to our customers to collect more fresh reviews? Donation setup is a nice incentive, but please look away from it when answering the questions if you have any other thoughts around the subject.
I can try to answer that as well. I
Yes.
understand collecting reviews is definitely a hurdle. So I will neglect the donation setup. We have a lot of examples here, and I want also the customer success to really describe this for you. But the thing is how do you insert a review and ask them in the right timing, not just going a donation. I have example of like people when they are in trade fairs. Like, okay, and they meet existing customer. Nice to meet you face to face. Could you please add a review here? We're collecting reviews about you, and I think you're excellent. It's about the timing. So collecting reviews on trade fairs has been very successful for many of our customers because it's about the trouble is often collecting reviews. If you do it manually, it's like asking the customer success, ask them to call a person, so on. Trade fairs, when you actually meet them face to face, it's an excellent way to do it. Or if you have seminars or webinars yourself. Thirdly, if you can get them the link that we offer in the customer success presentations, that has also given a very good effect when customer success or salespeople, not often sales, customer success people meet their customers in a QBR or whatever it could be. They often have a slide like, okay, we are doing a donation, a collection or review campaign. It's just going to take, so they can describe it in front of them face to face. That is often very good eye tracking. Fourthly, we have seen donation aside, we have a customers that have been very successful doing this in June and before in summer period. I have a very good example. I didn't believe in it. It's providing discount on ice creams, believe it or not, has been a major effect. I won't name that supplier, but my God, what a lot of review they got. But again, we have more examples of that, but it's much more, how can I get it into the process very smoothly and don't take too much time for people to really talk about it with the customers. Otherwise, obviously, donation setup is a very scalable, efficient way to do it digitalized. But otherwise, I think that you need to find a way to insert it in processes in a very smooth way. And to do that is having a branded link in one slide at the end of customer success presentations. We have also more question beforehand, Joseph, right?
Yeah, and I'll take over the presentation, so you can feel free to shut your own presentation down and look at Slack if you want to. Yeah, so another question we got in before the webinar was how to drive upper funnel using AI, from Daniel. And it's an interesting question, but ultimately it's like, if you think about SEO, you can definitely think about different areas of the buyer's journey. You can and you can target keywords that you know are in the upper funnel versus mid funnel versus lower funnel, and know that there is a certain demand in every point, and there's value in every step of that buyer's journey. But for AI and for LLMs, it's much harder to know exactly what people are searching for in different stages. You can definitely do some educated guessing yourself, but in the end, that's guesswork. And it can have an effect, and it can also not have an effect. It's hard to know. Measurement is one of the main challenges around LLM activities and LLM optimization, which is why we're investing in an LLM tracking tool ourselves. But to answer your question, I wouldn't think too much about where in the buyer's journey I optimize for LLMs. I would think about it as optimizing for LLMs or not optimizing for LLMs, and keep it like that. What can I do to make the robot happy? How can I optimize for it? Rather than think, where exactly am I going to focus my efforts on optimizing for LLMs? Those are my thoughts around that question. We also had another question from Jesper, and this question I had a bit of a hard time trying to understand exactly what he meant. How can you increase our AIO since it's a domestic platform topic? Now, Jesper, if you're here, feel free to clarify a little bit what domestic platform topic means. But if we limit your question to how can you increase our AIO, meaning our AI overviews, well, that's a lot of what we've covered in this webinar, making sure your data is available to the robots and making it structured and digestible so that the robots can actually extract and parse that information and present it in a useful way to their end users. And as for AIO specifically, rather than meaning AI overview specifically, rather than just Google or ChatGPT, it's hard to know exactly what different platforms, how they evaluate things differently. But Google AI overviews tend to have a good overlap, not a perfect one, obviously, but a good overlap with traditional search. So like Nicola said earlier, optimizing for LLMs and optimizing for traditional search is 95% a lot of the same activity. We're still trying to make robots happy. We're trying to get them to understand and interpret our data. More questions. How fun. How can we best reach out to our customers?
No, that was the first one above.
Oh, right. Sorry. We would like to improve our site on BusinessWith. Do you make content for any of your customers, or do we have to do all the work on our own page? Mostly, this is a good question for CS mainly, but I would say the main effort is on you to make yourself presentable, and then we have some data that we know is key that we present in a structured way to make sure that the data is in a way that the robots and LLMs prefer.
Yeah,
but expand here, Nico?
Basically, you provide the data. That is something that you can discuss with the customer set. But you provide the data, all these options that's available for you, depending on which level you are on, in which package. But so you will add the data and it will be visible. Thereafter, you can discuss with customer success on the best way to set it up. Again, context, right? So that's where they will be like guidance and expert with the advisor for you. But you are the one that needs to do the work themselves. We will not go into your page and enter anything specific. That is your page, that is your data, and you will own it. So time flies. I don't think we have so much time for many more questions. Really hope that you liked it. Again, we will discuss this during this year more than once. So every customer success now will knock on the door and really set up meetings to attack this. And I hope that you're really pleased with the way we attacking this buying journey and coping with it. But again, some key takeaways that we presented here today. Things are looking very promising in 2026 compared to 2025. That's nice. But however, we need to think about lead treatment. We need to think about amplifying your data. That is not a small thing right now. There's a huge competitive advantage we're talking about here. So let's make sure that you get this. And with that, I would like to close this webinar and wish you all the best. Thank you from us.
Great, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Du måste avsluta samtalet, Abdallah. Eller inspelningen. Abdallah, avsluta inspelningen.